no matter where you are at this very moment. I don't care what words you use to describe yourself and going in on yourself and shriveling yourself. You want to begin to not be shriveled and open up? Giving. Find some place, someone, something that you can give to.
Hello, my friend, and welcome to this Wednesday episode of A Call to Leadership. Well, I am so glad you are here. What a treat today as we focus on an area of our leadership lives that can debilitate us, can even destroy us if we cannot change our perspective and direction on it, and that is stress. Well, I have invited an expert in this area, someone who has not only experienced massive stress, and you'll hear it in the story, but is on a mission, the ambassador of joy, Barry Shore. Listen in, my friend, I can't wait. This is A Call to Leadership. Hello, my friend Barry, and welcome to the show.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Now, wonderful Nate, how can I make the categorical statement that all the thousands, if not tens of thousands of people that are listening or watching are all good-looking? Because by definition, if they tuned in to listen to you and a call to leadership, it means they're always looking for and finding the good in life. That's a good-looking person, always looking for and finding the good in life. Thank you for enabling me to be with you and to share with your wonderful audience.
Now that is an introduction of introductions. Barry, we've had just one conversation before this, and at least video. We've made some conversations via email and whatnot, and we were connected, and You mentioned just there briefly this just in the exuberance of your aura, of your persona. Some might consider you in some ways an enigma for this this outreach that you live. Where does that come from?
First of all, thank you for the opportunity. It comes from the inside, and it's been nurtured and enabled primarily by my parents, my siblings, my friends, and of course, life experiences. When I was saying about good-looking people, Nate, I was not just throwing out a phrase. I'll give you an example, if I may, since you asked. Something happened to me at the age of 8. Imagine that, knowing when it was. 8 years old, I was raised in a wonderful place called Boston, Massachusetts. Actually, for those in the know, I was born in Dorchester. It's inside baseball stuff. And raised in a place called Brookline. But at 8 years old, we were still in Dorchester. I was looking out the window, and it was a beautiful winter's day in Boston. When I say beautiful, deep winter's day, it means it was overcast. At 3:00 already, it was getting dark, and the rain was falling with snow, and there was slush outside, and it was even cold in the house. And I'm looking out the window, and I say these words, and I even hesitate to say the words now, but I need to illustrate a point. I'm looking out the window with my nose there and cold and saying, "Oh, what a horrible day." And at that moment, my amazing aunt, my Auntie Edie, says, "Beershi," that was her nickname for me, Barry. "Beershi, do you realize what you're looking at? That rain is coming down. That's nourishing the earth. And the snow is blanketing and getting it ready for springtime. So when you go out there, you'll see all the grass growing and the flowers and the trees and blossoms, and you'll be able to ride your bike and go to the zoo. And it's so wonderful." I had no idea what she was talking about. It shifted my perspective for the moment, but I can tell you it planted a seed. It took at least another decade till I was around 18 or so before I began to use the eyes that my wonderful aunt, and again, my family and friends had planted in me and nourished in me so I could look at the world no matter what the weather was or what the situation was and find the good, Nate.
Yeah.
Always looking for and finding the good. What a wonderful way to live, isn't it?
It is a wonderful way to live. And what an honor and a blessing that you have your aunt to thank for that experience that paved the way for a future of perspective, to use your eyes. As you were telling me that story, it reminded me of a story of my mom. When I was little, we were to go and have a picnic, and we had everything ready. And then what happens? It rained, and I was so upset. I said, "Mom, what horrible weather, just like you." Huh? And she said, "Why? We're going to have our picnic, except today we're going to have it in the living room." So we opened up all of the food items and the blanket, and we had an inside picnic, and we opened the window and heard the rain and the tapping on the windows. And it was such an amazing event. Same thing with lemons, right? Add some sugar.
What I like especially about what you just mentioned, Nate, is that my story allowed you to say your story, and I can hear the wheels churning on the thousands of people that are listening and watching, and everybody has a story of how the lemon became lemonade and beneficial. And the key is utilizing and leveraging those stories, those events, those moments in your life, always for the good, because there's always going to be an issue. It's just the nature of life. That's what happens. Now, what do you do with it? See, the 6 most important words that I've ever been able to utilize, internalize, and leverage in my life, and I share with everybody, are the following. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. How you choose to respond in any given situation will not only give you the trajectory, but the direction of your life. How you choose to respond, because there's always going to be stuff. Stuff is part of life. Isn't it wonderful? By the way, when I say stuff, you know, I'm thinking about right away. Again, showing my age. The movie The Wizard of Oz and the straw man. And when they're pulling him apart and they're taking the stuffing out of it becomes nothing. But he realized that was just the stuff. Put it back together again and go on.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the choice over chance. I love that taking ownership of our behaviors, our beliefs, rather than subjugating them and releasing authority and dominion to chance.
What a way to live. Matter of fact, it's one of the, you are a proponent and a distributor of the Keep Smiling cards. Now, the Keep Smiling cards are, in addition to a card that reads Keep Smiling, there are many other great messages. One of the cards reads, Happy by Choice. What a way to live, right? Happy by choice. And on the reverse of the card, it reads, Life is a 3D adventure. And the 3 Ds are D for decision, D for discipline, and D for determination. That's life. 3D. You make a decision. You need, of course, discipline. Now, discipline, when people hear the word, they often think of something harsh. One of the things that we do is we shift perspective. By the way, I got to tell you the word shift. I've been working with people for more than 42 years, wonderful Nate. And I can tell you, in that time, 97.2% of all people drop the F in shift, and the other stuff happens. So you're going to be effing careful with your F's. Shift perspective. So just a little bit on discipline. Discipline is not behind you, whipping you and pushing you. It's at your side, urging you on in a very friendly, loving, companionship way. And then D, determination. When you're determined, guess what's going to happen? What you want. No matter what. You'll stumble, you fall, you pick yourself up. It's choice, not chance. And that's one of the reasons we love Nate, because he understands this, not just hears it, he integrates it. And that's what he does, by the way, for all of you, his clients and family and friends, anybody who knows him. I mean, a man who's been involved in tax issues for 30 years and always helping to resolve it in your favor, because his world is, What do I want to know? And things are changing all the time, right, Nate?
That's right.
That shifting stands.
I love how you break that down. So the decision piece is the choice piece, right? We decide
Correct.
how we are to respond. And oftentimes it is response. It's difficult to be proactive in every situation, but here's the thing about choice is that we can always choose our attitude. Attitude is a choice.
Absolutely. May I do a quick riff on the word stress?
Yes.
Because when people hear the word tax, which is what you do, stress happens.
Right.
Right. So, but let's look at the word stress. It's because it's really a fascinating word, and it affects everybody, every single person on the planet. Whether you're Elon Musk or you're in the the mailroom, doesn't matter. Everybody has stress. But what does stress stand for? It's a great acronym, and that's what I love working with words and acronyms. So stress, as the normal way that most people approach it, stands for stomach turning reality, enabling self-sabotage. You know what happened? I lost my job. I might lose the house. The kids are going crazy. My cousin committed suicide. The world is falling apart. So that's how people either internalize stress, they don't show it, or they show it on the outside, which is even worse. Let's take a little shift in perspective and learn the Barry Shaw way of stress. Stress, stomach turning reality. Yes, you may have lost your job. You may lose the house. Cousin did commit suicide. The kids are not doing well in school. The country's falling apart. Enabling self-success. Self-success? Yes. Remember, how you choose to respond in any given situation is really going to determine where you're headed, what your life is about. When you determine what's happening, you choose to respond in a positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant way. Well, what happens is positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant things happen.
Yeah. And many people don't start there. Many people start in a place where they are looking at it from a sabotage perspective. And as you had mentioned, perspective outlines everything. Interestingly, you use the second word, discipline. And of course, we know discipline and disciple share language, right? So
Right.
to be disciplined, we must be discipled, and to be discipled just means we're a student, right? That's the root of how we form discipline. So you and I have been students, discipled by individuals who have taught us a new way to view stress. That rather than leads to misery, it leads to mastery. Rather than it leads to burnout, it leads to engagement. And those are the ways that we can look at and say, well, this situation, yes, it's not ideal. However, when is it ideal? When you are strengthening your struggle muscles, right? It's not ideal to strengthen your struggle muscle. But what happens through those high challenge situations, right? As we progress and we move forward, we become enabled to overcome even greater challenges. This is why when I'm having a conversation with my son and we see a hill to climb, I say, Abram, let's climb that hill. He said, Dad, that's a big hill. I said, let's climb it. Let's climb the hill so that'll prepare us for the next hill to climb, and the next hill and the next hill. And sometimes there will be hills which we didn't expect that we need to climb, right? And we won't have ideal circumstances. But at the same time, we'll remember that last hill we climbed? We overcame it. We can overcome this hill. And when we do, we can celebrate.
Celebrate, dance to the music. By the way, the other nice point about the hill, no matter how large or small, every hill has the same aspect to it. One step at a time.
Right.
That's it. You can't climb anything 2 steps at a time, because even the 2 steps really is just 1 step. So the process of growing, and by the way, the wonderful thing is Abram is, I think, as you said, 9 years old.
No, he's actually 16 now.
Oh, 16 now. I'm sorry. Those 7 years went like that. So he's 16. So what looks to a 16-year-old, what looks to you who are a bit older, are two different perspectives. And eventually when he has children, he's going to recognize that what to a 6 or an 8 or a 10-year-old looks like a big hill, he doesn't laugh. He just says, you're right. But we can do it one step at a time. Man, if I talk about a big hill, may I tell a story, a personal story?
Absolutely. I'm going to ask for a couple more too. So let's start with this one.
So imagine, if you can, standing up, this is about me, standing up in the morning, hale and hearty, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. And at night, same night, in the hospital, totally, completely paralyzed from my neck down. It's called a quadriplegic. And it was not from an automobile accident, not a spinal injury. It's a rare disease, which I never heard of the day before, took over my body. And from hale and hearty to completely paralyzed. 144 days in the hospital. I could only communicate by blinking my eyes. I was 2 years in a hospital bed in my own home, 4 years in a wheelchair. I had braces on both my legs, from my hips to my ankles. That was progress. Thank God today I'm able to do vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand. So I'm a triped, not a biped, but I still can't walk up a stair by myself, can't walk up a curb by myself, and I have help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. But you hear my voice. Positive, yes. Purposeful, powerful, and pleasant. It's all because of one word, Nate. One word. And this word is smile. Smile? Yes, because SMILE is an amazing acronym that stands for Seeing Miracles in Life Every Day. Seeing miracles in life every day. That's a key for me to be able to be with you, share with you, do things with you that hopefully will encourage you, not so much in inspiration, because that's readily available anywhere, or information overload, that's the internet. Right. But the T word, transformation. Everybody wants transformation. How do we do it? Are you ready to do the 3 Ds? Decision, discipline, and determination. From a quadriplegic, I now swim. Here's the secret. I now swim 2 miles a day, 6 days a week. And I've been doing that now for 17 years.
Amazing.
I was paralyzed 19 years ago.
So someone listening is going to want us to go deeper, because you have just unrolled an incredibly resonant story. That first day, when you find out, the moment you find out, oh my goodness, I cannot use anything but my eyelids. How do you feel? What's going through your head?
I'll tell you what was not going through my head. Oh, my life is over. What's going on? It can't happen to me. This is no good. What I will tell you, I think was going to be hard for people to hear at this moment, is that it was so stunning in the true sense of the word that I was calm. I had no idea what was going on. I did fully believe that no matter what's going to happen, it will happen. Now, that doesn't mean that if I had been given a menu at that moment, Nate, and God said, well, check off what things you want here, paralysis, and I wouldn't have checked that box. However, I will tell you an interesting story. At least I think it's interesting. I'll tell you, first of all, what happened the next morning when I was they brought me to the hospital, of course, and it was quite traumatic for my family, obviously, because I had just come back from being overseas with my son for 5 weeks. We were in Israel and doing all kinds of wonderful things and such like that, coming back to, we were living in Venice Beach, California, and it was the Jewish New Year called Rosh Hashanah, and I had gone to the synagogue, came home, and I went to lie down. When I got up, I fell down to the ground, which was a bit odd. I said, okay, that's all right. Who knows what can happen? Got up, managed to get dressed, walked to the front of the house, sat in a chair, and I couldn't move. So very calmly, I said, Ezra, my son's name, who was 16 at the time, Ezra, Papa can't move. Comes over and says, what do you mean? I said, I can't move. So I said, please go to the synagogue. And our dear friend, Dr. Kars, is there. He's a close friend and a cardiologist. His brother, Dr. Cars, was my primary care physician. Asked him to come over. Comes over, he looks at me, he has a wry sense of humor. He says, "Hey, you don't look so good. What's going on?" And he called his brother, Dr. Cars, and told him what was going on. Dr. Cars said, "Well, he either has this or that. Get him to the hospital." So those days, there was no Uber. They called a taxi, got me to the hospital, and suffice to say, I'm in the hospital. Dr. Cars comes, gave me a sedative so I could sleep, and I had no idea what was going on. I opened my eyes the next morning. Again, I'm completely paralyzed. I'm looking at the clock. All I can see was the time was 8:05. I didn't know. I assumed it was the morning because there was a lot of light. And I had a woman at my side whispering in my ear gently, saying, "Mr. Shore, can you hear me? If you can, blink once for yes, twice for no." So I blinked once, and so I could hear and say, "Okay, my name is Dr. Abrikov, and I'm the resident neurologist on the weekend. And if you have something very serious, it might be fatal. We need to run some tests." Did you hear that? And it might be fatal. I remember all these words. She said, "We have to run some tests. You with me? Blink one for yes, twice for no." I blinked. And she says, "I'm glad you can hear me. We will take care of you. Everything will be fine. If you agree with me, hit once for yes, twice for no." I blinked once. And then I blinked, I think 3 or 4 or 5 times. She said, okay, I get the message." The reason I'm going to tell you the story is because they were bringing me in and out for tests for the next few days. They finally determined that it's something called GBS, Guillain-Barré syndrome, which usually doesn't attack the whole being so strongly, but I had a good dose, and thank God everything is much better today. Now, suffice it to say, at the time, completely paralyzed. So they're doing tests throughout these next few days. There was a particular nurse that I had, a male nurse, and it was probably about 4:30 in the afternoon. Again, I'm on a gurney. I could just look up and see what things were like. And by this time, I regained some of my voice, barely above a whisper. And the male nurse has been with me now 3-4 days. He stops the gurney and he leans down. He said, "Mr. Shore, may I ask you a personal question?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, this is my specialty. I work with people who are paralyzed and such like that. And I've seen you over these days. And I've never met anybody in your situation who's not bitter and angry. How come you're not bitter and angry?" And I realized at that moment, Nate, he was asking me the great existential question, which is, why me, God? Why did you do this to me? Right?
Right.
That's not what I was asking. What I was asking to myself was, dear God, I'm just a regular person. Why me? What am I supposed to do? And I can tell you something, Nate Sala, 55 years on the planet, I had never felt such calm, such awareness. I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea I was going to move again. I'm going to walk again, swim. Hello. But I believed wholeheartedly that whatever was going to be okay.
Oh, outstanding. This difference between why me and why me, I tend to think of it like this. You can ask the question, why me, as if this should not be happening to me. Or you can ask the question is, why me? In other words, why have I been given this opportunity?
Mm-hmm.
And what am I supposed to do with it? Mm-hmm. It's a completely different, it's a 180-degree difference in how I perceive the challenges that I face. I mean, at 55, to be a paraplegic in a matter of minutes.
Quad, sir.
Sorry, quadriplegic.
Only because it's a
yes. What's the distinction for our listener?
Oh, so a quadriplegic is completely paralyzed from the neck down. Nothing in the body moves. Paraplegic is from the waist down.
Yeah, nothing moves.
So today, by the way, to encourage you, so I am what's called a paraplegic, because as you see, those who are watching, I can move my upper body, my arms, et cetera, from the waist down. I still can't get up from this chair. And when I swim, I have special flotation devices on my legs. Otherwise, they sink and I can't swim. I wear paddles on my hands because, as anybody's watching can see, my fingers don't close. And I use a snorkel because breathing is still very difficult side to side. But swim, I do.
Swim, you do, and we're going to get to swimming, and because you are an avid swimmer, and we're going to get to that. Before we do, in this moment, people question also many other things. Not only why, sometimes they question God. Are you there? God, do you exist? This is suffering. Why are you allowing it? Did any of those kind of thoughts go through your mind?
So I am very fortunate that I've been, I am a believer. I am a seeker. I am a student. I am a disciple. And on the most crude level, we'll call it like this. Well, Mr. Shore, until the age of 55, I was like this, by the way. Exuberant, upbeat, happy. I've been through a number of things. Thank God I had, by that time, I already built 2 internet companies, sold them both to public companies, made a lot of money, also lost a lot of money because I've been through cycles of life. I was in the diamond business for 2 decades, bought and sold $100 million worth of diamonds. I wrote a book on the subject. I taught at the most prestigious school for diamonds in the world called the GIA. I met and married my wife. We had been, by that time, married 27 years. I had a wonderful son, lots of friends. I was living the life that anybody would look at and say, I want that. So now I'm in a situation where we'll call it, you got to walk the talk.
Right.
Now you're called upon to say, okay, you're rich and famous. Okay, now what are you going to do? It's the ability to be in the moment, as you said, and not just accept, but to be there and recognize that which you have, which is called life, is to be lived to the full with whatever you have. So life for me is a great acronym. Again, I love words because words animate the being. Matter of fact, the 3 fundamentals of life from my perspective are, number 1, life has purpose. If you lead a purpose-driven life, number 2 happens. Now, in this case, a good number 2, which is you go mad. MAD stands for make a difference. If you lead a purpose-driven life, you make a difference in life. And number 3 is to uncover the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. So we said smile, seeing miracles in life every day, or WWW. Right now, this has been carried over the internet. Who knows who's going to listen to this throughout the world? Well, WWW in my world, our world, stands for what a wonderful world, right? So to always find the positive, purposeful, powerful essence of words. So for life stands for living inspirationally for eternity. When one recognizes that you're here for a moment, but what you do in these moments makes a difference for eternity, for every being that you come in contact with. Right now, look at how amazing life is. You, Nate, and I, Barry, are discussing and sharing, and it's not about us at all. It's about you, the one who's watching or listening. You, Y-O-U, you becoming the best you. Okay, Barry's a nice guy, Nate's a great guy, but it's about you. That's why we're here. We're here in concert to be able to create what I call a tsunami of goodness in the world. So when you think this way and you speak this way and you act this way, guess what happens? You create what we call alignment. Everybody knows what a chiropractor is, right? Mm-hmm. Physically, you're feeling out of sorts and such. You go in the chiropractor and he or she goes, crack your neck and so whatever, and you become aligned and you feel a little better because you're carrying yourself easier. So I urge everybody to become their own spiritual chiropractor, which means to align your thoughts in good, your speech in good, and your deeds in good. So when you're aligned, good, guess what happens? Good comes.
Right.
And together we create a tsunami of good. What a wonderful way to live.
What a wonderful way to live. I especially, you and I share many beliefs and principles about how we live our day. And I think one of them you just touched on is this belief, this understanding that this moment is valuable. And I tend to look at it just from the perspective of, well, it's called the present because it's a gift. And it's such a wonderful opportunity each moment to give our very best and live purposefully. Because, as you know as well, every moment someone is having their unexpected last moment somewhere on the planet. And someone listening would have heard me talk about this before because it helps me to frame how I view my day. And so the decisions I make every single moment will ripple through history, whether it's on this side or the next side of eternity. And so what an honor it is. And especially and here's another thing is I'm sure you experience where folks have passed on all the time. I just had one of my people on my team, a very close relative passed away, and as well as with condolences and empathy and sharing the grieving of the loss that we have. My words are always the same. The best way we can honor those that have passed on is to live fully.
So on that note, let me share with you. By the way, SHARE is a great acronym that stands for Spreading Happiness and Rejuvenating Energy, which is what Nate does. This podcast is all about that, spreading happiness and rejuvenating energy. So thank God we're post-COVID, whatever the stuff was, and post-lockdown and all the craziness that went with the lockdown. So I'm speaking now to some larger crowds. Recently, I had a nice crowd of 1,176 people. Lots of hugging, lots of energy, lots of great stuff. And when I'm telling the story about Barry Shore and Smile, seeing miracles in life every day, invariably people raise their hand and say, hey, Barry Shore, I've been up for hours where I haven't seen any miracles. And I asked them, are you here? Can you hear? Can you stand still? I can't do that. Can you walk? I can barely do that. You have water to drink, you have food to eat, you have a place to sleep, you have family, you have friends. Every single one of those is a miracle. And what's the proof? Simplest proof, and you just said it, Neil. You just said it, Nate. Simplest proof, 1 million people didn't get out of bed this morning. You know why? They died. By definition, if you're watching or you're listening, you have an obligation now to live exuberantly, to go forth in such a way to spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love on a regular basis. That's why we're here.
Yeah. And right now, many people are experiencing a dark place. As you know, pandemic, post-pandemic, isolation, a lot of young people today are having dark moments, and they are not where you and I are. Speak to them.
Let's talk about it. It touches me deeply because the people that I want to reach are not the people. My chronological age is 74. 74 and above, okay, I really want to talk to you. You might be open, but that's not who I want to touch. I want to touch people between 13 and 23, because those are the years of struggle, of getting footing, of direction. I know, I lived through it. Hello. I'm going to tell you two things at once here. I want to address what we just talked about here, but I want everybody to understand something. I'm 74 chronologically. I know for a fact that everybody over the age of 25 lives with 4 ages all at once, in parallel. Number one is your chronological age. I said I'm 74. Number two is your metabolic age. I'm 46 because I swim 2 miles a day, 6 days a week. Your mental acuity is minus 28 because I work with a lot of people on the internet building sites and such, and I'm working with people between the ages of 23 and 30. I'm 28. And my SOW is 8. So people could say, huh? SOW, what is he talking about? Sense of wonder. I'm an 8-year-old. Now, You want to keep it between 6 and 9. Below 6, not really ready to have a true sense of wonder. And when you get to double digits, they're already closing in on you and they're shutting you down. Somewhere between 6 and 9. Keep that sense of wonder. So I want to reach 13 to 23 because that's the struggle. That's the strain. Now, in the dictionary, by the way, you can't get to the word success until you get past strain and struggle, right? And you get to success. So you're in the struggle. Guess what? Let's take a look at words. Loneliness is an epidemic today, especially in the United States of America. Loneliness. I just saw a chart recently. Loneliness, the deep loneliness is the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Who would even consider smoking one cigarette? I mean, it's a whole different world from when I was growing up. 15 cigarettes a day. That's what the equivalent in the power of closure for loneliness. So what do we want to do? The first thing we want to do is to show people how to look at a word. The word is alone. A-L-O-N-E. Yes, write that down, wonderful Nate. Because if you pronounce it and you think that the word is alone, then you're going to be stuck there. We want to unstuck people. We want to shift perspective, right? Remember, got to keep the F in place and shift or the other stuff happens. So what am I going to say? What is really the word? How do you pronounce it, Nate?
I'm ready.
All one. All one. When you open up to that knowledge, I didn't say belief. I said knowledge. When you open up to the knowledge that you are all part of the all one, then what happens is, by definition, you will be filled with radiant energy. You will be filled with joy. You will be filled with happiness. Yes, if you're in a dark place, well, that's okay. You know why? Because when you put a seed in the ground, guess what? Is that seed in a dark place?
Indeed.
Hello? You can't get darker than underneath the earth, right? But it's a seed. What begins to happen? Begins to break down. Chemical composition comes in from the lonely, dark place, breaks down that exterior shell, and then a little bud comes up and keeps going through the strain, through the struggle, and the success of breaking through the dark, and there's sunshine, and there'll be some water. That's all you need. You need sunshine, you need water, you need the earth, a loving word, an encouragement, and it keeps growing. It keeps growing. So when you can look at this word called alone and understand that's not how to pronounce it, you were mistaught. That's all. It's all one. That's who you are. When that comes in, your seed begins to grow. Okay, it takes time. So you work with Barry Shaw on a regular basis. You listen. Join the Joy of Living community.
Yes.
It's available, joyoflivingcommunity.com. I built it for people who are struggling. It's $10 a month. I kept it so there's no barrier to entry, and you get a lot of stuff, all helpful. It's all part of the garden. Now, remember, I used the word, I don't believe. I know for a fact that everything I'm sharing with you, everything Nate is sharing with you works. It works. By definition, it always has, it always will. Enable yourself to allow the light to enter, and the darkness becomes dispelled, and your seed will grow. Oh, I got to tell you what GROW stands for.
Yes, let's hear it.
Generating rays of wisdom.
Generating rays of wisdom.
You love it?
I love it. So if someone's listening, I love the age group too, 13 to 23. And there's different kinds of hope. There's hopelessness, which sees things often only as they are. They can be dark, they can be bleak, they can seem hopeless, they can seem without purpose. That's a fact, a reality.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's hopefulness, which sees things as surely as they can be, bright, radiant, full of life, full of purpose, full of meaning, full of value. And then back to your original part of the conversation, there's a choice. There's a choice. Which type of hope am I going to be drawn to, be attracted to? And I wonder, someone listening today is thinking, well, I don't even know where to start because I don't have a vision of a future that is radiant and bright and attractive. And as you know, the ancient proverb, which says, without vision, what happens to the people? They perish, right? So vision is essential to not perishing. And what kind of vision? And vision, by definition, is optimistic. It's hopeful. No one wants to go to a worse future state. Vision must be optimistic. It must be a place that is better than the current context. Where does someone start when they have no vision of a future that is better than today?
First of all, thank you for the opportunity to address this most important issue. So the name of my book, I have 3 books now in the past 6 months. The first one is called Joy of Living. You deserve it. Second book is, there it is, The Joy of Living, How to Slay Stress and Be Happy. Second book is the pocket full of acronyms, 100+ words that we find the positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant message. And the next book is called Oh Shift. That's right, with the F just a little bit below the line. Here's how you begin. The joy of living can be summed up in one word. One word, Nate. Ready?
Ready.
Giving. No matter where you are at this very moment. I don't care what words you use to describe yourself and going in on yourself and shriveling yourself. You want to begin to not be shriveled and open up? Giving. Find some place, someone, something that you can give to. I would say, for me, the best way to begin is visit an old age home. Just say, I'm here to visit somebody. Who? I don't know. Who needs to be visited? That's it. You walk in, say, my name is Barry Shore, and I just want to say hello, wish you well. And you might find somebody who can barely function. That's okay. Maybe just touch the hand. Just say, I just wanted to say hello and wish you well. Giving is the process that enables the seed to germinate, to grow. One of the things that I share with people and I urge them to consider and understand is that when you I have a meditation technique that takes all of 94 seconds, Nate. 94 seconds. I can help anybody, anywhere in this world get calm and aware and do the following. Open up the twin channels of giving and receiving, because they're twin channels. When you learn to give, you can receive. When you begin to receive, like you said, it's a present, you can give more. And those twin channels, when they begin to flow together, you can't help but be what you just mentioned, the O word, optimistic. It's a natural result. It's a concomitant, as we say, using big words. So you want to start and learn how to do all one? Give, find someone, something to give to. It will stimulate. It's the most important muscle you have in your whole being. Giving.
Absolutely love it. My son and I were preparing our December process of the holidays, as many people do. And I thought, what can we do? What can I do to stimulate a deeper sense of purpose in my son and myself and our relationship? So we embarked on what I called 30 days of love. And it was a very specific daily act of giving to activate a deeper sense of connection, community, commitment, contribution to humanity, to society, to individuals, and to lessen the burden, the load that we experienced in our own struggles. And so the very first day, it was Sunday, I said, son, let's go grab some McDonald's. Well, first I asked him if he would be on board to do it. He said, yes, Dad. I said, okay. Every single day, we're going to have a different act of giving, and it's going to be random, and it's going to be fun and engaged. And sometimes it can just be a kind word, an open door. Sometimes maybe it's some donuts to the local fire department or wherever it might be. As you said, the retirement community, maybe a letter to someone who didn't get a letter this from a family member and say, hey, you know what? We don't know you, but we care about you. And so anyhow, the very first day, we decided to get some McDonald's. It was wintertime in St. Louis is kind of chilly. Some hot McDonald's and take it to our downtown area where there are homeless people on the streets. And he said, Dad, is this can it be kind of dangerous? I said, it's going to be all right. We're gonna make it happen. God's gonna be with us. We're gonna be just fine. And so he says, okay. So we stop at the McDonald's. We get 10 orders of sandwiches, 10 orders of fries, 10 orders of the hot cakes and whatever else we could get our hands on. And we put our orders together in our bags. And he said, Dad, before we go, I want to make sure that that we get something clear. He said, what's that, son? He said, I want to make sure that I pay for half of this because I want to be a contributor.
You
bet.
Abram, I love you.
You bet. So we get there and we start driving around the streets of St. Louis. And lo and behold, there was a group of people who were homeless on the side of one of the side roads. And I pulled up and they were on the passenger side. My son was on the passenger side. And dating ourselves, I rolled the window down. Of course, we don't roll windows down anymore, right? And I just yelled out, excuse me, would you like a hot meal on a cold day? And the gentleman walked up to the car, just about nose to nose with Abram. And we handed him a bag. And he just looked at Abram and myself and said, thank you. Just the feeling that Abram got from expressing caring, kindness, some compassion to give someone dignity with many moments. It was life-changing and life-giving for him and for myself to just be a part of the giving process, even in such a small way. Game changers, brother.
Notice two things. One, you made a plan. 30 days. It is absolutely vital what you shared with us, Nate. Now, of course, this is the accountant in you coming out and tax preparation and such. But to have that plan laid out, 30 days, we're going to do something every day. We're going to do something every day. And if we don't have to know everything right now, what we're going to do every day, but every day, not a day is going to go by without us doing something. That's a commitment. Isn't that wonderful? Interesting to use the word community. Now, the word community, and I'm going to relate this to business, by the way, as well. The word community, as you'll notice, the you comes before the I. That's the essence of community. The you, would you like a hot meal on a cold day, comes before the I. When that happens, the I is suffused. It has to happen. It's a natural law. See, law, when people hear the word law, they most times think, law, or right? Remember, we shift perspective. Law stands for love and wisdom. That's the eternal law, love and wisdom. When you're working with that law, everything positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant happens. Same thing with the word business, by the way. This is really important. You work with a lot of business people who own and run businesses. Businesses are designed to be profitable because if they're not, they can't continue. The profit, however, is in understanding the business. Business, B-U-S-I-N-E-S-S. The U comes before the I. If the business is not serving beyond the self, not fulfilling a need and a want and a desire, then the I can't happen. It will shrivel. So every business is built on recognizing that we're here to serve. Service is part of giving. And again, the genius of the capitalist process, what we built the United States of America, where individual initiative and merit count for something, because that's what we're about. We're here to serve. And when we learn that we're here to serve and we use that to the full, then we create a tsunami of goodness, or what I call an ecosystem of good. There's no better way to live, right?
That's right. It's the highest, I believe, the highest call of mankind is to serve one another. And I believe that's how we aim for greatness. Yes. I love it. The you comes before the I. And so you are, have you gone to your swim yet today?
Not yet, because it's 9:52 where I am in the AM.
And so you've done and I say this cheekily, a little bit of swimming. How much swimming have you done?
So when we started out, by the way, I did not start out at 2 miles a day. And I'll tell you a quick story. The reason I was even involved in swimming, I had no idea this was what I was going to be involved with. So when I got home from the hospital after 144 days, and again, I'm quad and such, and we had wonderful help as a call out to our assistant, who's become part of our family. From the day I got out of the hospital, which was January 15th, the year 2005, Steven Senfuka, that's his name, has been with us. So today is May 8th, 2023. So for more than 18 years, Steven has been my caretaker, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. As he says, doesn't have a life. I mean, he does, because he gets off time and such. And of course, my wife, my son, and family and friends. But Steven's the main person who helps me on a regular basis. So he takes me out for a stroll in the, again, I'm a quad, puts me in the wheelchair and go out. And we live in a beautiful tree-lined street in Venice, California. Very unusual, because most streets are not like that, just quiet. And one of my neighbors, good friend, his name is Vince, comes running over. He says, I know what happened. And don't worry, I'm going to have you up and out of that chair in a year, this year, and have you walking. I listen to anybody who says they know what they're doing and they can help, right? What am I going to say? No, you don't know what you're doing. Because the doctor said you're never walking. And I never listen to doctors anyway, but that's beside the point. Okay, but he says he's here to help. He said, I am the best, the greatest aquatic therapist in America. I love people like that. Look at your raised eyebrows. Right. If he says he is, he is. So aquatic therapy, obviously, you get you in the water and do something. Now, we live in an amazing country. So in a lot of the pools, especially the ones he works at, they have something called a Hoyer lift. Hoyer, H-E-U-E-R, right, Hoyer lift. It's used for getting people in and out of beds who are quadriplegic, things like that, or getting in and out of pools. So at the place we go to, there's Hoyer lifts. And again, you move from a wheelchair onto the lift. The lift brings you up, puts you in the water. And then, of course, they have to put flotation devices in your body and people working on moving limbs and such. So now we fast forward. I've been working with Vince and off and on for a year and moving limbs, just trying to get some stimulus back into my body, because maybe electric circle will happen. Who knows what? One day I moved my arms over my head. Wow. Then the other arm, I did about 3 strokes on a backstroke, and I hit my head against the head of the pool, against the pool. And I went, yay! Everybody else thought I was like, ah! And I managed to turn myself around, pushed off, and went to the other side of the pool, hit my head again, and just kept going down. I didn't stop for 98 minutes, Nate. 98 minutes. It was outdoors, Santa Monica, the sun shining, and I'm moving. I can't move my legs, can only move my arms. I have flotation devices. It didn't matter. 98 minutes without stopping until I did a mile. So, wow. Hello. I mean, I had people who were applauding. It was a magical moment. And I said to myself, if I could do it once, I could do it again, right? So, of course, next week I did it again. And if I could do it again, I could do it twice a week instead of once a week. And 3, I push. I never give up. And eventually I got to the point where I was doing it 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week. Again, only a backstroke, and still takes me 90 plus minutes, but who cares? I'm just there, right? In and out of the water, lots of help. And eventually, it took 2 years. I was able, and by the way, so I was doing a mile each time and keep adding up. I was always had my assistant write down because I couldn't write every quarter mile, half mile, a mile that I did. Eventually, I was able to get on my tummy and learn how to do a crawl. And I used a system that it was so funny because we used some videos that they had of this system, and I was able to learn how to swim my way. I mean, it wasn't the way it was called. This thing is called total immersion. And total immersion, by the way, is something very interesting. It was created by a guy named Terry, and Terry trained the highest level Olympic athletes in the world, world-class people. And we sent a video of me using his system. Now, it wasn't, I tried, but it was not the way he did it. But it was just me. And he loved it so much that he featured it on Total Immersion. And you got to understand, these are the world-class people from all over the world. And people saying, well, he's not doing it right, but he's moving. We love it. Okay, so it would help a lot of people. Suffice it to say, because of that, I now swim 2 miles a day, 6 days a week. It takes me 100 minutes to do 2 miles. But it's okay. I'm not rationing anybody. And I got to tell you something. We're in May of 2023. Let me see, approximately 6 weeks ago, I broke the 9,000 mile mark. Can I say that again? I broke 9,000 miles.
I mean, just saying it.
Yes.
9,000. So how far is 9,000 miles for someone who needs to?
Okay, let's take a look. Let me see. Nate is in St. Louis, Missouri. So he's in the middle of America. So from the middle of America to New York is 1,500 miles. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, 1,500, right. Because right across the country is 3,000.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, roughly, yeah.
1,500 miles there. Across the Atlantic, another 3. Through the Mediterranean, up to Jerusalem, down to Mumbai, India, and over to Singapore.
Swimming. Quadriplegic.
Quadriplegic, and my goal is to swim around the world. Hello.
Absolutely love it. And that is where the third D comes in: determination. Determination.
It's one of the greatest nations, as Zig Ziglar says. There's many nations in the world that are great. The United States is a great nation. The 2 greatest nations are imagination and determination.
Oh man, that's gold right there.
Yes, and that's it. Because I envision myself swimming. I envision myself swimming as if I am Michael Phelps. I don't want to be Michael Phelps. I want to be me. But when I swim, I think I'm doing just that beautiful stroke. Okay, to other people, they look, they say, what is he doing? Doesn't matter. I'm moving. The key, when I make little videos about my swimming, just 30 seconds, 50-second video, I say, the reason I'm swimming is not for me, for you. For anybody out there who says, I can't. What do you mean you can't? What can't you do? You can do anything you want. If you want to run a marathon, you're not going to do it tomorrow. You get out of the lazy boy chair and you walk to the mailbox. Okay. Yeah. And then the next day you walk 3 places back. Or as you said with Abram on the hill.
Yeah.
Okay. It looks like a big hill, Dad. Okay, 1 step at a time. Yep. And now look to the next. When you get to the top of a hill, no matter where you are in the world, you get to the top of a hill, there's always another hill. Even Everest. Hello, everybody. Even Everest. There's always another hill. That's the genius of life. Celebrate it.
Amen. Yeah, I do a push-up challenge every year during tax season. And so this is a personal individual challenge. So every year I start out with 10 push-ups per hour for a 10-hour day. And I just get down in my office and I do a push-up, 10 push-ups. And then as I progress, I'll do 15 and 20 per hour and for 10 hours. So basically I go from 100 push-ups a day to 200 push-ups a day. My goal by the end of tax season is to have 500 push-ups per day that I do during tax season, which is basically 50 push-ups per hour. And I had one of my colleagues come into the office one day. He said, I could never do that. I said, but you can do one. Just do one. Start there.
Did he? Did he or she?
He did. And that's how we take steps forward. But we have to envision. I love that. Absolutely love that. What is my vision? What am I envisioning? Am I envisioning the possibilities for progress or not? And that will determine the order of my steps.
Absolutely. And determine goes to determination. I'm going to say something now, wonderful Nate, to all the people listening. Now, most of the people, I believe, that are tuning in to this remarkable program, this call to leadership, are people in the business community. That's a fair statement, right? Most people
It is
are.
fair.
And I want to say something to people that are in the business world. So I've been in it since I'm 13 years old. If you go to my website, barryshore.com, you see my story. I used to sell newspapers at Fenway Park. Fenway Park, one of the great iconic places in the world. If you don't know it, well, you're missing out on something. And I sold sport cars there, made a lot of money for a kid, and it was a great experience because I met Elijah, who sold roasted peanuts and taught me a lot about life and business and selling and such. And here's the most important phrase you'll ever hear. You cannot fail. You cannot fail. Can you stumble? Can you fall down? Could you go out of business? Yes. Okay. You're not going to fail because you're going to start another one. You're going to get back again. You can't fail. Things happen in life. Okay. Therefore, what? Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, get back in the game. Because you can't win the game unless you're in the game, right?
That's right.
You can't win unless you're in. So do what you can with what you have from where you are and just keep going forward. You cannot fail. When people begin to hear this, first time they hear it, they go, well, even if they're not doing that, they're doing it with their mind. And eventually when they hear and we work together, and I do a lot of, thank God, high level, what they call high level coaching today, we make a breakthrough. That breakthrough opens up everything. Vistas, vision, understanding, giving, happening, growth.
Do you now what age groups do you work with your high level coaching?
I
Is there a
work,
certain demographic?
my ideal people that I work with are what I call 36 to 42. People who are in the midst of growing things and have already had a stumble or two. I work with people, I'll give an example. I have somebody I'm working with right now who's 82 and beginning a new business. He's had, thank God, a number of successes, and he wants to do another one. And I'll tell you a quick story about him in just a moment. So my ideal, as I said, 36 to 42 as a chronological range. But I told you what I really like working with the most are people from 13 to 23. Because everybody in the United States of America, in my humble opinion, must, not should, or maybe can, must have an entrepreneurial mindset. Let me shout this out. Everybody from the ages of 13 to 23, the United States of America must have an entrepreneurial mindset. I don't care if you're working in a large organization. You can be working in a Fortune 50, 500, doesn't matter, a big place, small place. You have to have an entrepreneurial mindset. You need to know that that thing called a paycheck is not who you are. You're an entrepreneur. You're there to be of service to the organization, to look around and to find what can be done faster, better, cheaper. The essence of America is faster, better, cheaper. Ask the people who started Home Depot, right? Ask the people who've been, Amazon was founded on faster, better, cheaper. It's the essence of the United States of America, and it doesn't exist in the same way in any other country in this world today. Nowhere else in the United States, in the world, does what we have in the United States of America exist. And I can tell you, categorically, it's shrinking. There are forces, I call them malign forces. There are forces that are encroaching upon the entrepreneurial mindset, the entrepreneurial spirit, the entrepreneurial attitude. And those forces have always been there. That's the nature of authoritarianism. I'm waxing a little political and eloquent at the moment. But what we have here still enables anyone who wants to work, who wants to do, who's willing to go into the arena and be, you can't fail. It's not possible. You don't have to be a billionaire.
I'm living proof. Absolutely true. Son of immigrant parents, very poor. And here I am today, right? And one piece of not failing that's important, I think, to recognize and to share is this. The only time that you have no more opportunity to progress this side of heaven is when you are no longer this side of heaven.
Right.
As long as I have air in my lungs, there's always opportunity. There's always a way. And when things don't go the way I expected, then what do? I add it to my playbook. I write it down. So, okay, well, if I tried this and it went that way. Here's another thing, Barry. I think that we tend to look at struggles and things, situations that we don't, I'm going to use air quotes, succeed in, because success in many ways, as you know, this is they're self-imposed expectations on what success looks like, right? But you think about a baby versus an adult who attempts something. An adult who attempts a business or attempts a relationship, and perhaps it doesn't work out and in the exact way they desired. We often look at that and say, "Oh no, boy, you really failed there, didn't you?" But we don't do that with babies learning how to walk. No, not at all. It's just the opposite. What do we do when they fall? We encourage them. We say, "Get back up, try it again." And then with every step, we say, "Yes, hooray, you have a small victory." And I believe that small victories build courage. And to give that sense, no matter what you're going through, no matter what challenges you face, get back up. It's not over. It's not over. It can't be over. You're still alive.
UP is a wonderful acronym. This stands for unlimited possibilities, unlimited potential. Let me tell you a quick story about the 84-year-old who's starting a new business. Because we were laughing about this. I taught him my vision of being retired. And you may have people that you work with that are at the retirement age. So here's a vision of retired. You ready?
Ready.
Anybody ever been to Indianapolis 500? I mean, those things that's going, cars going around the track, right? Now imagine the car comes into the pit, right? What happens? You have a team that goes off, tires off, put on new ones. By the way, in less than 15 seconds, new set of Michelins, you're out on the track again. That's called retired. You put a whole new set of Michelins on.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes.
That's retired, baby. Give me that new set of Michelin.
Come on, baby. That's what I'm talking about. See that phrase then. So for me, retired is like a 4-letter word, because it's always had the ideology of not being productive and progressing. But now I can say, as far as pit crews go, I love to be retired every single week, baby. Come on.
Absolutely.
More meat
that's
on
what
the
it's
street.
About. And that's what got him going. I mean, he came to me and he said, "Look, I'm not being as productive as I want to. What do you suggest?" We started working together, and we found a place where he could use his talents to grow something. And when he heard the retired vision, he goes now, by the way, you should know, he found on YouTube a couple of these plays where he goes, turn, in the pit, and he plays it every once in a while just to remind himself, and he shares it with his friends. So it's a great thing. It's a mindset. It's here.
You are a wellspring of life, my friend. And as the scriptures say, that is where the heart is. And so I am so thankful for you. I absolutely love our conversation. And I know that this is just the tip of the iceberg for our conversations. There's so much more. But before we go offline, off air, at least with this segment together, I want to ask you a question. And this is a question that some people on the show have difficulty answering. I think I'm just going to throw myself out on a limb. I think you're going to have it answered as I'm even finishing my sentence, because knowing you now, you've already dialed this one in. One day, you and I, just like everyone else, will be on that great summit, the very end of the journey on this side of eternity. As you look upon all of the people you were able to be a part of and touch and be a part of their lives and influence and share this magnificent journey with, what is one thing that you will want people to say about you?
Barry Shore lived with joy, happiness, peace, and love. He was a madman. He made a difference.
And I would normally say you were on your way, but you were already there. Thank you, Barry.
You're welcome, Nate.
God bless.
Back at you, kid. Can we leave everybody with a hug?
Let's do it.
Okay, let me tell you what HUG stands for.
All right.
Heartfelt, unlimited giving. Heartfelt, unlimited giving. On the count of three. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, that's a big hug. That's a big hug. Heartfelt, unlimited giving is who you are, Barry. Such a joy and an honor to be with you. Well, my friend, I am so thrilled that you joined me on this episode of A Call to Leadership. And before you go to the next episode, especially if you're binge listening, take a moment. I would love to get your honest review right here on your screen. Your feedback is so important. It helps the podcast, it encourages me, and it helps me. It helps me to give you more and more and more value. So I can't wait to read your review. I can't wait to be with you on the next episode. I'm Dr. Nate Sala. This is A Call to Leadership.